What's going on, YouTube? It's the one and only True Free Man. Back at you with another video that I feel that it is very important that I not only do this video, that I also do a few other videos in order to address and possibly disprove the false information, the negative stereotypes by certain individuals towards the so-called black community, and more specifically, the so-called black woman. If you want to know why I say so-called black community and so-called black woman, you're going to have to go through my YouTube videos and understand that I study law, I deal with law, I address the court system, and I fight for the truth. All right? I share with people, um, I help others out, and I'm also actually fighting this fight boots on the ground. But to more clearly understand why I use the term so-called black woman or so-called black community, you're going to have to go back and research who I am. I don't hide my face. I don't hide my identity. I don't hide my name. I don't, none of that, because I'm straight 100. But I feel it's about time to peacefully address certain individuals in the so-called YouTube sector, YouTube community, that want to continue to put out false information, put the black woman down, so-called black woman down, continue to put the black community down, or so-called black community, and claim that you are attempting to help. But I'll go a little bit deeper into some of those things in some future videos, because I feel it's very important for someone to come on the scene and excuse me, address some of these things by a certain individual, address some of these things that are being put out by a certain individual in a logical way. I'm not going to call you a coon. I'm not going to call you a Sambo. I'm not going to call you sort of moisture and all those other things. I'm not going to say you crispy, because I'll tell you what, I'm darker than you. All right? The name calling thing is not going to do anything to solve anything. It's not going to do anything for anyone. It's just making your egos grow larger and larger. But I feel it's ridiculous, because some of you out there who are excuse me, putting out these videos attacking a certain individual, I don't think you have your boots strapped on tight. Because if you were clearly paying attention, what you could do is you could, without calling people names, calling them coons and all this other stuff, right? Instead of doing that, you could deal with the words that come out of the individual's mouth and be logical with it and not look like an ass. See, some of you, in an attempt to disprove this other guy or make him look bad, you are in fact making yourself look bad by not dealing with the facts. Now, there's some of you out there who put out some good facts on it, but your delivery is just pretty much trash. If you really want to disprove some things about a certain individual, if you understood some things that actually go on in the system, in the government, so on and so forth, you do your proper research, which is easy to do, and you would prove what you're attempting to say. Let's use one. Let me give you an example. If you guys are saying that this man does not own this house, that he's renting, that he's squatting, I don't care. I don't care where he lives. I don't care how much money he has. I don't care about any of that. Doesn't matter to me. But if you guys are trying to disprove that, or if you guys are trying to prove that he does not own the house, that he's squatting, that he's renting, or whatever it may be, guess what a smart individual would do? Because you guys are putting out this man's address and as well as other things, which I think is totally childish, but that's a whole nother topic. If you want to disprove, and I'm gonna use a specific example. Let's deal with the example of that this man does not own his house, that he's squatting, that he's house sitting, and all these other things. It could be true, but you just saying it doesn't prove anything. Guess what? If you understood the law and understood how the system works, what you would know that you can do to be able to prove if the guy actually, in fact, owns that house. I'm just throwing this out there, right? Because you guys are putting out his address and everything, so it's clear that you know where he lives, what county he lives in, what city, what state, and the address. Guess what you can do very easily online to see if that man owns that home? You could check the tax records on that property. If that property is not in that man's name, then you have something to work with. Then you could put the information out and prove what you are trying to say or what you're trying to convince people to believe. But getting outside of that, I just wanted to throw that out there. That's just one thing. It's so many different things that you guys could do to prove what you're trying to say against this man. But I don't think it's a big deal whether he owns the house or not. If he's renting, so what? He lives in a nice house. If he owns it, fine. He has a nice house. I'll say beautiful house from what I've seen. Okay? Have no issue with that. But I don't think it even matters whether he owns the house or not. That should not be the big issue. The big issue should be with the so-called black community, the so-called black woman, and the things that he say against black women. That's where you guys should that's what you should focus on proving him wrong on. Which can easily be done. Because anybody could take news stories that are put out by a major news station and then make their own video off of it. That's so easy. And you could claim whatever you want. That does not, what am I trying to say? That, by you doing that, that does not account for the whole so-called black woman or black community. It's a select few. But I think those of you out there who are engaging with this guy in an attempt to bring him down, a lot of you are going at it asshole backwards. I'm just going to be honest with you. What you need to do is just deal with the words that come out of an individual's mouth and deal with the contradictions that continually occur over and over and over again. Granted, there are some things that there are some good points, but the majority of the information being put out is totally one's opinion. And we're not going to deal with stats because anyone that understands the system and the corruptness within the system knows that even statistics, okay? Listen to me clearly. Even the statistics that you pull up and use that so-called claim this and claim that are in fact just as rigged as the elections. Okay? So we're not even going to deal with the statistical aspect of it. Okay? What I want to do, because I don't want to throw all my eggs into this bit in one basket pretty much into this video. What I want to do is deal with the topic of this video, which should be, are black women the worst stewards of children? Now, for someone that claims and throws it in people's face how smart and intelligent they are, you would think they would go look up the word steward before putting a label or a title on black women, such as, are black women the worst stewards of children? And not even are. That's in one sense he says that. In another sentence he says black women are the worst stewards of children. That's your opinion, and you're you're free to have that opinion. But the majority of you really don't even understand the legal definitions of these words to see if what one is saying is actually making sense. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to address this issue of our black women the worst stewards of children, because I'm going to be doing a show on TalkShoe or Google Hangouts, and I'm going to send it out, send the invites out ahead of time, and we're going to deal with this specific issue and this topic: are black women the worst stewards of children? Because it is ridiculous for people to continue to put labels, let's say people who even look like you, to continue to put labels on you, and yet you show them so much support when all they do is talk about you. But we're going to address these issues, and we're going to deal with the black woman, the so-called black woman. We're going to deal with the child, and we're also going to deal with the so-called black man and what part he plays in the destruction of the so-called black woman. Anyone will be free to call in, and we're going to address these things and see if I could pretty much get people to strap their boots up tight and get ready for the fight. Okay? So since one wants to continue to say that black women are the worst stewards of children, they ain't shit, won't be shit, so on and so forth, I have to start addressing some of these issues. I'm not a stalker. For those of you who know me, you know my name is True Free Man, straight exposing them. So I'll expose whatever I need to expose. That's just what it is. And don't go back to my YouTube videos for you Tommy Sotomayor fans. I don't care that you're his fans or nothing like that. But don't go back to my YouTube videos thinking you're exposing something, because that stuff in my YouTube videos was me in the fight, showing people real life situations. All right? You believe what you want. You're free to have your opinion, so on and so forth. But let's deal with what a steward is. Because we have to see if a woman, if black women, or any woman for that matter, can really be considered a steward of children. See, what people don't understand is the lawful and illegal aspect and definition of these words, and how they're being used and or misused against you, whether you're so-called black, white, whatever, what have you. Okay? I study law, so it's not really in your best interest to challenge me on this. But if you want to, feel free to. All right? What I'm going to tell you, don't show no disrespect to me, because I'm just not having it. But let's deal with, are black women the worst stewards of children? And let's deal with first understanding what a steward is to begin with. All right? So I'm just throwing it in Google. I got legal dictionaries here. I got pretty much, I'm building a law library in my home. But, and certain individuals have something bad to say about that. But, I find it odd that, well, I'm not even going to get into that incident. I'll deal with that in another video. I got to save some of the treats for later. But let's deal with a steward is. Let's deal with what a steward is. You have, as a noun, right? You have a person who looks after the passengers on a ship, aircraft, or train and brings them meals, such as a flight attendant, cabin attendant, and then it's going to list some more. And I don't see where it says black woman, and I'm not even going to be that specific. I don't see where it says parent, woman, so on and so forth, but let's continue. An official, well, the mother of children are not officials, okay? Appointed to supervise arrangements or keep order at large public events, for example, a sporting event, such as a marshal, an official, an organizer. So the black woman can't be a steward in either one of those senses. All right. Continuing on as a verb of an official, supervises arrangements or keeps order at a large public event. I don't see how a mother of a child can be considered a steward in that sense. Then going further on, to manage or look after another's property. That would be someone that's appointed. Was the mother appointed to be a steward over that child? I don't think so. You can go to Merriam-Webster's. You can go to any dictionary you want to. You want to debate me on this, we'll deal with it. But let me open up a couple legal books real quick, and let's deal with definition of a steward. Definition of a steward in Black's Law Dictionary, 6th edition. All right. A steward is a man appointed in the place or stead of another. A union official who represents other union employees in grievances with management and who oversees the carrying out of the union contract. A woman can be a steward in that sense. Then you have a steward of England. We're not even going to address that. You have a steward of manor. That's Black's Law 6, okay? Let's stop playing these games. I'm gonna have to pause for a second. Alrighty, I'm back. I apologize for the delay, and for you, it wasn't that big of a delay. For me, it was. I had, a guy that I was working on his vehicle. I do quite a few things for myself. I'm self-employed pretty much. I don't got no money, but hell, I, pay bills this way. So, and I work hard. So, I had to get him his car. You know what I mean? Show him what I did. Make sure he was happy. And collect my funds. But either way it goes, I don't actually recall where I left off. That's what I hate about being interrupted. But I know we were dealing with this black woman being the worst stewards of children. So what I want to do real quick, I think I was left off at Black's Law 6. I was going to make a few other points. But I got thrown off track. But it's no big deal. We're just going to deal with this. Now, going to Black's Law 8, a steward. First definition of a steward is a person appointed in place of another. Was the mother appointed? Was the so-called black woman appointed over that child? Or is it her property? Is it her child? All right? So she cannot be a steward in that sense. Going to the second definition of a steward, a union official. Let's stop right there. The so-called black woman is not a union official of her household. Let's stop with these games. We're not going to use word magic or none of that. We're going to deal with things for what they are. And this is what I'm trying to address. So the point of this video is the fact that there's no way that the black woman, the so-called black woman, are the worst stewards of children. Because first of all, they cannot be a steward of a child anyway unless they are an employee of the government. Do you understand what I'm saying? Let's stop playing these games, people. All right, editing the video, making sure everything's straight. And just heard, portion of what I just said, that there's no way that a black woman can be the worst stewards of children. Let's deal with who can be considered stewards of children, and one could use that term and be politically correct, which I don't try to be politically correct anyway. A steward of a child is going to be a foster parent. Are these black women, or so-called black women that Tommy Sotomayor talks about, are they foster parents? Because I know there's quite a few black women that are foster parents. But I also know, since people want to use statistics, the statistics that's rigged shows that there are more white people that are stewards of black children. That is a known fact based on the rigged statistics. Not only based on the rigged statistics, it's a known fact that more white people adopt kids than so-called black. See, a lot of you don't understand what goes on in these white households to even talk about it. So all you can do is talk about your own kind. Are there black women that are stewards of children? Yes, there will be foster parents, guardians, people appointed over the child, so on and so forth. But that's not what Tommy's dealing with. Tommy's dealing with the mother of these children. They in no shape, form, or fashion can be considered a steward of children. It's a known fact. Now continuing where I left off, I just had to throw that in there. All right. But finishing off the definition, a union official who represents union employees and who oversees the performance of the union contract. Also termed in sense to union steward, shop steward. It's a fact that the black woman or a woman in general cannot be a steward of a child unless they are appointed, okay? So you can go to some of these newer dictionaries that pretty much tries to fool you. We have to deal with it in the legal aspect. We have to deal with it for what it is. So can the black woman or the so-called black woman or any woman for that matter be considered the worst stewards of children? And more specifically, we're dealing with the black woman being the worst stewards of children. These women do not work for the government. They are not taking care of foster kids, so on and so forth. They are not on a ship, so on and so forth. So in fact, it is incorrect to even state that black women are the worst stewards of children. That's just dealing with the legal aspect of the word steward. Let's not get this twisted, because we still have to also deal with the reality of what goes on in the household and what goes on outside the household in regards to the children. And we're going to see in future videos and shows, or we're going to talk about and address this issue of the black woman being the worst stewards of children. It's pretty much impossible. And for someone that has such a high level of education and throws it in people's face, I would assume that you would look up the word steward while you're continuing to say that the black woman is the worst stewards of children. I think it's ridiculous to continue to put the so-called black woman, and I'm not going to continue to say so-called at this point, those, because some of you that are going to watch my videos, you're not pretty much going to understand understand or overstand the basis for me stating that until you do some research into what I do, as well as the legal aspect of these words that a lot of you are out there misusing and abusing. But what we're going to do here in the future is we're going to address some of these issues in regards to the black woman and the child, as well as the man. And we're going to address the issues, or we're going to address the issues of, is it the black woman that's at fault for how these children are coming out, or is it the black man at fault for how these children are coming out, or is it a combination of both along with the government involving themselves in your private affairs in which you allowed them to do? But for so-called black men to sit up here and continue to try to put all the blame on black women, I think you've been fooled. I think you've been hoodwinked. Because if you want to talk about something that if we want to address something pretty much that he continues to say, which is the court system and the black women can get this and they just give them that and this and all this old mess. Don't you think that you could take a little bit more control of what happens to your property, i.e. your child, in that court system, even being a man, if you actually understood the damn law? See, the only reason that the black woman is given that much power in the courtroom is because of the ignorant black men who refuse to learn the law and defend themselves and defend their property, i.e. their child. And don't tell me your child is not your property, because if you do, then you clearly don't understand how this world goes round and round. See, the problem is you don't want to address them as your property. But that's a whole nother topic in itself, and it will be addressed. But I'm more so going to be addressing this issue of continuing to put down the so-called black woman and blaming her for every single thing that's going on with the youth out here, and making it as if you've done no wrong. And I'm talking about men in general. Because what irks me is that a lot of you only believe in this guy and believes his opinions because your beliefs are not yours. They're the beliefs of the guru you follow. Now, I've done some videos on that in the past, talk shows, so on and so forth. But some of you need to wake up and actually ask yourself, or go look in the mirror and ask yourself, do you really believe what a lot of the things that this guy is saying? And do you conform to it because it's your beliefs, or are you conforming to it because it's the beliefs of the guru you follow? Because a lot of you, once you become a fan of someone, and I don't see how you guys can be a fan of anyone. If you like someone, if you watch them, if you listen to them, if you take some of their advice on and so forth, that's one thing. But to literally call yourself a fan of an individual on YouTube who claims to be a celebrity, which I'm trying to figure that one out. But that's a whole nother thing. I'm not here to bash anyone. See, some of you have allowed individuals to take over control of your mind. So it comes to a point to where what they say, you automatically believe. You put all your faith and trust in an individual, and you just start believing every word that comes out their mouth, which is totally ridiculous. Now, there's some good things that comes out this guy's mouth, but when you throw in garbage in your theories and conjecture, it destroys the whole argument. And like I said before, for an individual who claims to be so smart and so intelligent and completed, done all these miraculous things in school and was the top this and top that of their class, I would assume that you would look up the words that you use. I would assume that you would study these things and study law to know why the women are shown favoritism in the court system. Because in fact, and again, I say in fact, there are some things that men can do to change this around. But again, we can't change anything around if we continue to turn around and say it's the black woman's fault. She's the worst steward of children. It's the hair weave. Listen, man. Let me ask a question to you people out there who support this nonsense. How is talking about a woman's hair going to change the physical conditions that we are in on a day-to-day basis? How is continuing to call all these women bitches and whores and sluts and all these other things, how is that going to solve something? And I'm just trying to figure, I'm not going to get into that right now because there's just so much that needs to be addressed. And I'm not going to, you a coon, you black, you crispy. I'm not going to do all that because, again, I'm darker than you. So if you crispy, I'm crispier. So, I mean, it is what it is. I don't care. Let's deal with the real issues. And really, for those of you out here doing this, more so, Tommy, more specifically, Tommy Sotomayor, instead of you bashing black women, guess what you would do? You would go out and help them, because you calling them bitches and whores and sluts and worse stories of children every day on multiple different platforms is not going to change a damn thing. I just want to make that clear. You free to do what you choose to do. It's on you. You have to live with that, not me. But what I will do is I'm going to, from time to time, address some of the BS. And I'm going to address it with logic and not assumed logic. I'm going to address things with real logic. You know, you wonder why all these people out here are coming after you and coming at you and saying what they're going to do to you. How many people come on your show, man, and you just because you don't agree with them, you call them bitches and whores and hang up the phone on them? How many people give their opinion and you turn around and call them bitches and fuck you and so on and so forth? I don't get it. I really don't get it. If you honestly think that you can continue to call someone's mother, someone's a grandmother, someone's daughter, bitches and hoes and all this shit, and someone not want to touch you, I think you're living in the fairy tale world. You have a big audience, you reach a lot of people, and I think that you are using it to the disadvantage of the people. That's my opinion. It's just my opinion. Just like you have yours, I have mine. But to continue to bitch, hoe, this, that, it makes no sense. And let's use some logic for a second. You want to say that something to the effect of, and I'm not quoting you verbatim, something to the effect of these guys that call you coons and Sambo and Crispy. You want to say that well, the white man used it and they're using it, you know, they're calling me these names that the white people use against all of us. You know, the words that you use. I don't follow you like that. You know, you can't help but to see this garbage on YouTube, so it is what it is. But if you think it's wrong for them to call you a coon because the white people used it against us, you think it's wrong for them to call you Sambo, Crispy, and all that based on what the white man or white community has done while using those words against the black people? Can you answer a question to me? How is it logical for you to continue to call all these people niggers, niggas and nigger? You didn't set them both, and you're black, right? Every day, all day, when that word was originally used against black people by the white people. You see how that doesn't make sense? See, a lot of you out there who follow people, you don't pay attention to the words that are coming out their mouth. You hear, but you don't pay attention. Because if you were actually logical in that sense, you would not be saying nigger on your show. You would not be saying nigga on your show. You will not continue to call other black people nigga, niggers, so on and so forth. Because remember, we have to look at the creation of the word, or the original use, intent, and meaning of that word. So, speaking logically, if it's okay for you to be on your show and call people niggas and niggers, and you're black yourself, knowing where that word comes from, then I think it's only fair for them to also be able to return the favor by calling you Sambo, coon, all these Uncle Tom, all these other things. I'm not going to do it. I don't think it's necessary, and I don't think it's going to accomplish a damn thing. It's just going to start a war between people. But the so-called biggest man of logic, you have to sit there and actually think about what I just said. If you cannot admit what I just said is true and is fact, then it just goes to show possibly what your real intent is. It seems that you could never be wrong. You put people down, you degrade them. I think this is nonsense for from an individual that has such a big platform as he does. I don't care how you get your money, who you get it from, whatever. I mean, we can deal with some of those topics in the future, but I'm not even really trying to address the financial aspect of it. I don't care how much better you live than me or whatever. Guess what? I have a family. Guess what? I'm happy. Broke and all. Right? I'm not a man with a bunch of money that can't keep a woman, running around sticking my dick in every damn thing that open their legs. Hey, to each his own. You understand what I'm saying? But the fact of the matter is for you to call black women bitches and hoes and sluts and shit, but then turn around and continue to want to sleep with them, then how is that changing them from being sluts and whores when you are involving yourself in it? They sluts, they whores, but you're participating in it, helping them be sluts and whores. How is it helping though, man? And I'm not bashing you. I'm just speaking with logic, man. You call them whores and bitches, but you fuck the whores and bitches. Ain't nothing wrong with it. If that's what you do, that's what you want to do, that's fine with me. I ain't got no problem with it. That's you, right? But my thing is the point I'm trying to make is how can you call these women bitches, whores, and sluts, and then you turn around and you run around fucking all these different women, Lord knows how many, which who gives a shit. But the fact of the matter is the same women you call them bitches and whores and they sleeping with everybody, you're sleeping with these women, man. So your logic in that sense does not make sense. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Because I listen to words that come out people's mouth, man. I'm not bashing you because you got a lot of women. Hell, I'm not single. If I was single, I'd probably, date a few women. To each his own. I'm happily common law married with no government in me and my wife's contract. You understand? It's a 2-party contract, not a 3-party contract. We'll deal with that in another issue, in another video. You call black women bitches and whores and sluts, but hell, you keep talking about all the white women that just come over to your house and you fucking them. So what does that make the white women? Are they bitches, whores, and sluts too? I don't see you saying that. So it's like you're starting to come across like someone that's just out for his own agenda. Which if that's what you out for, that's fine. But stop putting. I would suggest that you stop trying to make it look like you're trying to help black people with what you're doing. But because actually what you're doing is separating them even further. That's just what it is. This video is longer than I wanted it to be. I was just coming in with a quick little just coming in for a second to address a couple issues in regards to this Tommy Sotomayor. Again, I'm not, I ain't calling you out your name. I'm not gonna call you Coon, Sambo, Sotomayor, Moisture, all that other stuff. Uncle Tom. I think that's ridiculous. And again, it doesn't solve a damn thing. What I'm going to be dealing with is the lack of logic in a lot of the shit you put out. And more specifically, I'm going to be addressing the issue of, is the black woman the worst stewards of children? And in fact, if they are, what part did the black man play in that? With that said, I'm going to go ahead and sign out right now because there's a lot that I need to address, but I'm not going to take up a bunch of my time that I could be working making funds to do this. When I get some free time, I'll start addressing some of these issues because I think it needs to be addressed. And I think a lot of the things that you are putting out needs to be addressed. Now, you're going to say, well, call into my show and we can debate. Psst, that won't happen. I'll sit here and listen to you and watch how you do people that call into your show. And a lot of them do make good points. And you just tap dance around it. And you convince your audience to believe what you believe. Which anyone that was paying attention can see it was just total bullshit what took place. Don't get me wrong. You put out some decent content on certain issues. But when dealing with the black woman in the so-called black community, man, what you are doing, I'm going to tell you, it's a distraction and it's detrimental to the black people as a whole. You may not see it that way. That's my opinion. And I can point out many different things that back up why I feel the way I feel. It's ridiculous for an individual who has the platform that they have on YouTube and other places, and the followers or fans that they have, to take it and use it the way you're using it. Of course, it's different. I give you that. But it's bullshit. I just have to call it for what it is. It is getting to the point to where you are literally starting to go overboard with what you're doing. Now, it's your right to do it. I'm not telling you to stop. I'm just throwing, just like you do your opinions out there and put your information out there, I'm going to do the same on you. I'm not stalking you. I don't do shit like that. I don't have time for it. But I think this shit needs to be addressed because I don't see any way that this is empowered. What you're doing, let's be specific about what I'm saying. What you're doing is not bringing the people together. It's pushing them further apart. And to continue to get more people to actually think like you, I think that's ridiculous. I watch you from time to time, entertainment purposes only, and I say that with certainty. Entertainment purposes only. But a lot of people are taking a lot of the shit you do literally when it's just not looking good. And there's going to be quite a few other things I'll address here in the near future, but I'll get to that later. I got to get back, to the garage. Got some other work I got to take care of. But look for the upcoming show. That's either going to be on Google Hangouts or my talk show. And the title's going to be the same as the title to this video, Are Black Women the Worst Stewards of Children? And we're going to deal with this, and hopefully people will call in and participate and give your opinion and your take on it. With that said, this is True Free Man, the one and only, signing out. Peace, and hey, leave your comments, rate, thumbs up, thumbs down, subscribe, don't really matter. You come to my show with that garbage, and I'm going to just block you. We're going to keep it straight 100 or nothing at all. 75, 25, 25 don't work here. Peace.